Hey, it's Del Jackson, press break, January 23rd. Today's guest speaker, guest coach is Seth Buckwalter. We had the opportunity to cover him for a couple of games this week. We'll talk to him, and we'll have Andy and I. We'll kind of recap what the week was like for us and looking ahead to games. So our press break, as always, and I forget to say this, but we have it on the website, is brought to you by Spooky Nook. So without them, we probably couldn't do a lot of what we're doing. So thank you, Spooky Nook. All right, we'll start with Coach Seth. Coach Seth Buckwalter, how you doing, buddy? How was your week?
It was a good week. It was a good week, and I'm glad to be here with you guys. But 3 games this week, and we came out all right. Two wins and a loss. So,
how you doing, Andy?
I'm hanging in there. I'm thankful for the night off. So, yeah, another good week.
There's still scores rolling in as we speak, right? Oh my, yeah. Let's go back to Coach here. Coach, I saw you guys early against Columbia. I don't think you were at full strength that night. I think that was one of your first games, and you and I talked a little bit off camera about some of the things you were going to do to make improvements. So could you share a little bit about things that you worked on from that game to this week?
Yeah, well, we that game and a couple other games, we struggled with some turnovers and keeping the ball movement going and getting the just more touches for everybody. And so we've been getting better and better at that. So guys have been lowering I think that was at the Columbia game where the guys were traveling all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did a bunch of drills trying to get rid of that stuff. And so our turnovers have been getting better as we've been focusing on that. And then I feel like the ball, especially the game we had last night, the ball moved well, and guys are making good shot selections and things like that. But that's been kind of our focus. Can we keep the ball moving, choose good shots, not turn over the ball?
Nice. It seemed like your rotation, you kind of got a better feel for who can do what and when to put them in. Is that correct? I mean, you've played what, 6, 7 games already?
Yeah, I think we're at 7 now in our 2 weeks. So it's been kind of hectic, but yeah, we're figuring the rotation out. The guys are figuring their roles out. I mean, that takes a little bit of time. So guys know what their strengths are and what we can expect them to do and what we do expect them to do. And they're figuring it out. So we're getting there.
Nice. All right, Andy, I'll let you question the coach.
Coach, good to see you again after a couple nights ago and a triumphant win at Country Day. I'll ask you a little bit about that later. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, though. You've been doing this. You've been in the head chair for a couple of years now down at LMH, but you had some pretty big shoes to fill. You replaced the guy who was the face of Mennonite basketball. So I'm curious, now that you've been doing it for a couple of years, like I said, what's that dynamic like? Can you, I don't know, maybe feel his presence in the gym? How much do you talk to Coach? I mean, how much do you still bounce things off of him? Does he try and keep his distance and say, Seth, this is your program now? I mean, what's your guys' relationship like now that you have assumed the full-time gig?
Yeah, well, I was really fortunate. I got to be the JV coach under him for 8 years. I learned a ton from Jeff Groff, and man, he finished with 400 wins, I think. I mean, he's a legend in the program. And he did, I'm sure it was difficult, but he did an amazing job. He did completely turn the reins over. Before my first season, we sat down a couple times. I asked him some advice and how do I handle this and how do I handle that? And he was very wise and just kind of rather than really giving advice, he was like, dude, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You know what you're doing and you're going to be fine. And he's that's kind of how he is. So he no longer works at the school. And so I've been in contact with him a couple times this year, and I tried to get him to come to the CV game. That's right in his backyard there. And that day he happened to be doing something else, but he's been really super hands off and super supportive. Every now and then when there's a big win, he'll reach out and say, great job and things like that. But I think as far as can you feel him in the gym? I think if somebody followed Mennonite basketball for a long time, there's just a lot of the stuff that we do. It's just his fingerprint all over the game. I'd almost say the good things we do are probably his fingerprint on the program. And then the times you're like, what is going on? That's me trying to still figure things out in my 3rd year here. So, yeah.
Oh, good. Very good. Hey, going back to that Country Day game, I wanted to highlight this. we know this year was going to be weird as far as everybody's schedule was, totally different from one another, but you had a 5-game advantage on Country Day. They didn't play against anybody not named Country Day since like last February. And I know you can't speak from their perspective because that's not your team, but from your perspective, having a 5-game leg up on a team, what is that like? Do you feel a little bit more safer than normal? Do you feel a little bit more scared than normal that they have 5 games of tape? You have 0. They're going to come out guns blazing, which they did because you didn't get the lead until like a minute 40 left to go in the third quarter. And then, Cole and the guys kind of took you home. But I mean, what was that like having a 5-game advantage against a team that had 0 games under their belt?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. I would have thought it would have been an advantage, and then we're down by 8 points right away or something. I forget what the differential was, but I mean, man, he had them prepared. Coach Schultz, to his credit, like they had their plan of attack and they did it. And we did feel a little bit like we're not sure what we're walking into here. We were familiar with some of the players from last year. Some of his key starters were back, and anyway, I mean, whatever advantage would seemingly be there from having 5 games before they're having their first, obviously disappeared right away. And they were ready to go. I mean, he had them ready to go. So fortunately, the guys responded and kind of dug out of the hole that we got there and pulled out the win. But yeah.
The other thing I did want to ask you, it goes back to your schedule. I kind of asked you about this last night. We were joking before we started that you kind of misunderstood my question from the other night. So I'll dive into it here so everybody can see it. If you follow along on Twitter, it's been no secret. Your guys' schedule this far has been ridiculous in a good way. I think by my count, you've probably played 3 teams that have a legit argument for possibly winning their section if you yourselves don't do it as far as the Columbia game is concerned. And oh, by the way, your next game is against the best team who's ever been in District 3 as far as their tournaments are concerned. You're playing the Shamrocks next up. So I know you guys have been historically scheduled well. Is that going to be, again, now with your fingerprints on the program, is that going to be the blueprint to, really shoot above? Well, I don't want to say shoot above, but you know what I mean? You're not going to be ducking anybody, because if things fall into place as they have the last couple of years, you might be able to maybe resume that quasi rivalry with Newman Goretti. Because when I say those 2 words, we all know where you're at in terms of a bracket at that point in time. So, I mean, just what's your thoughts on that?
I think we have some really good players in our program. And I just think it would be a shame for them to not have the opportunity to show themselves against some really good teams. And I don't think it should be something that they have to wait till, if we're fortunate enough to make districts, to play against some really, 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 really big programs that we can look back at. So, since I've been at the helm, we haven't done the best at actually beating any of those teams. But I think it's one that I need those guys to know and believe that they could be a dominant force if they were at a 5A school, or if they were at the the best 3A school in the district or whatever. So that's kind of what we're going for. And then also knowing that you never know if you're going to make districts or not. The wins and losses, who knows? But if we make it to districts, make it to states, we want to know that we're not going to see anything that's better than what we've seen. I think there's a huge mental advantage there. So that's what we're going for, and we're going to keep trying to do that. I want guys to know they're going to play the best if they're going to come here, as long as those teams are willing to still play us. So.
Good stuff. I know he's on Papa duty, so I'm good on my end.
Okay, let me follow up with a coaching question, because I always like to delve in a little bit here. You talked to Andy about your schedule a little bit. So as we're talking, it just popped into my head about the LMH program. So your private school, how does it work? Let's say your kids in 8th grade, the kids that you have now, do they come up through the program, or do you get a lot of kids that come in as 9th graders? I know when they're usually at the varsity, they're with you for 3 years, but I'm interested in how it goes, what you want to call the under program.
It's a mix. I mean, we in our middle school program, we have kids coming in and out. So we have some kids that are in their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then they go back to their public school. That's how some families, they want to be at a private school up until they get to high school, and then they leave us, and that's a shame. And then we have some other families that they very definitely plan on having their kid in the public school until 8th grade, and then they want a private Christian education when they get to 9th grade through 12th. So it's a little bit, it's all over the place. But I know, well, I'll just say this: there's about half of our kids are coming through, and they're stable. They've been with us since 6th grade, and then about half of our kids joined us somewhere along the line, and never quite sure how they got to us, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know that happens in some of the programs that I've been associated with too. It's just sometimes you just don't know. Let me ask one other thing, because we were live streaming the other day. We live streamed your game. Your AD was great with us. We got a nice place in there, and you know, we had a little issue with a Wi-Fi, but we got in there. But anyway, on your senior night, I have never seen a team give something to the opposing team seniors. Is that something you guys do all the time, or is that just kind of a special thing this year?
We've done it before, and I know my wife's the field hockey coach for the girls varsity team, and I know they've done that the last 2 years. I'm not sure if they picked it up from somewhere else, but you know, in a bunch of ways, we're trying to, you know, be the face of Christ a little bit to whoever we're with, and one way we can do that is just by making sure we're honoring our guests in any way possible. So senior night's a cool night to be able to do that a little bit, which is fun. So.
That was very, very, very interesting from my point of view. It was cool. It really was. Anything else you want to tell us about your team going forward? What you're looking forward to this year? You know, I know what the goals are, so I don't even have to ask you what the goals are. But you know, your last shot here, buddy.
Last shot. Well, I'm just on the front end of it, just super grateful what you guys do, man. Between you two and John Walk over at the newspaper, our league gets the best coverage of anywhere around, which is absolutely amazing for the players. But yeah, as far as our season ahead, you know, our team's got a lot of growth potential, and I think, man, we really have some amazing players. And as they start to grow into what they can be, you know, I hope it ends up being a really exciting year. And you know, as long as we can keep playing games and keep getting on the floor, we're pretty feeling blessed about it. So anyway.
Nice. Hey, thanks, Coach. We'll let you go back to your duties at home on a Saturday night. We appreciate you taking time, and we really appreciate you talking to us after the game and letting us talk to your players and even your administration, getting us into games so that we can cover some Section 5 games along with some of the other teams that we cover. So good night, thank you, and good luck this week.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Okay, buddy. Hey, Andy.
Yo.
Oh man, I tell you, I got Seth Buckwalter stories all over the place, and I think I've said this one before. I was at E-Town recruiting him, and they had some awesome teams when he was playing, and he ducked out on me the one night, and I came home, and Coach Sloss was like, he's like, well, did you talk to him? I said, no, Coach, I sat in the locker room for 15 minutes and he went out the other door. So I almost lost my job that night, but I know Coach was very, very upset with us that we didn't get him, but he went on and played D2, and he is a part of that program. You know, he grew up that program, so he knows what it's all about, and just a good dude, you know, good dude to be around. Good dude to be around. All right, let's recap. What did you see this week?
I gotta jog my memory and think about where I was again. So Tuesday night I was at Creston Penn Manor. Quite candidly, a better game than I thought I was walking into. Cedar Crest, I think they were probably lucky to win the game. They won by 3, I think it was 46-43. I really liked what I saw out of Penn Manor, to be honest. It was another case of a weird situation where, like last week, I was most impressed with Solanco, a team that lost. I was probably most impressed with Penn Manor this week in a loss. They looked a lot better. They ran this, well, they stole Cedar Crest's blueprint. They did the spread out, penetrate pitch game. It worked well for them. They just unfortunately kind of petered out down the stretch, and Scipione hit a 3. I think it was him who hit a 3 with 30 seconds left, and that was curtains from then on out. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think where I was. Where was I at on Wednesday? I don't know. You saw
CV this week. You saw Mennonite this week.
Right. Yeah. Right. The Mennonite game on Wednesday night at Country Day, or Wednesday night at Country Day. a really good game. We asked Coach about it. This is such a unique year, and we'll never see a team with a 5-game advantage on another team again. We won't. And it was interesting to see how that dynamic played out, as he said, because I mean, Country Day did come out swinging. They took the lead 16-3. They were totally in cruise control, but then they just they played a little bit too fast. They got a little bit too excited to play. They kind of had they had some empty possessions, had some turnovers. And then when you have guys like Cole Fisher, who's just an assassin, and then Cam Hurst, who's, just going to be just as good, I think, in a few years, that spelled trouble for him. But, Mennonite didn't lead until, like I was talking to Coach, 2 minutes, 1:40 left in the third quarter. So, I mean, they were down the entire game up until that point and kind of won going away. This final score was a little bit more deceiving than what the game really was. Thursday night, we saw the live stream game. LS and Cacalico lived up to the billing. Check out the replay. That's a shameless plug. You don't have to have my word for it. You can go back and actually watch it. Mm-hmm. And then last night, saw 2 freshman coaches in Gaffey and Shipper at Ephrata and CV. Luke Rumbaugh stole the show. Had his season high for 25. It's right around the career high. We didn't really get that confirmed yet. I was looking back in the games I've done of CV the last couple of years. He had 23 against Oxford last year. So it certainly for sure was not the career high, in the Oxford game from last year. But he had 25 and nobody else who played in the game had double figures. So he was far and away the best player on the floor. CV is going to be good. You got to give him some time, but talking to Coach Shipper after the game, the wheels are in motion, which is good. We've said before, all the ingredients are there. I mean, the footprint is there. Everything is there for this thing to take off. It's just going to be a matter of, as he said to me in the post game that you can read about in the wrap up, it's going to be a little bit matter of time for them to build trust with one another. They've been shut down and they've had more of a herky-jerky schedule than really a lot of other teams have, to be quite honest with you. So they're learning each other, and they're learning each other on the fly, because that's the way this season is going to be. So we'll have to see what the record ends up being. I think they can string a few more together. I know he's really looking forward to the E-Town game on Friday night, which we're weather permitting. We're scheduled to have set to go on Friday night. So that should be a good one too. So no, another good week. And we had a full slate today, but as you and I talked, with not going, we need to be cleared on the guest list to go to these games, and nearly everybody was on the road tonight. So we're just sitting back. I got college basketball on right now. So it's nice to kick the heels up and rest a little bit. So.
Well, that's good. I got to watch North Carolina play today, and I got to watch the Dukies play today. So it's always a pretty good day to watch a little ACC hoops for me and back off a little bit. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about the section races. I mean, we're a couple 4 or 5 games in. Let's start with section 1. What are you seeing? I mean, I think you've seen everybody except for McCaskey, have you not?
That is correct. That's correct.
Okay. So go ahead. What do you think? Section 1. It's
buckle up. Buckle up. I mean, that's all I can say. You have no idea what you're going to get any given night. I mean, everybody in their own little segment has had wild roller coaster games. Let's just take Crest. They lose by 40. They win at Hempfield. They win by 3 against Penn Manor. Everybody is so all over the place. And I said this last week. Again, I have not seen McCaskey, so it's a little bit of a caveat. I like Hempfield to win from what I've seen thus far, but it's so close. Yeah. It's so close. And I know we were at the Township game this last week. Unfortunately, technical difficulties struck, but it sounded like it was a good game. But it's going to be so wild. I have no idea what we're going to get any night in and night out. I know I said something today on my little Twitter synopsis of everybody that wins from the night before about Township that now they have to string 2 together. And I saw Coach Johns was like, preach, brother, preach. We're trying to find. So he, trust me, everybody knows this year is going to be wild, and there's going to be some surprising jaw-dropping type things. Not necessarily in terms of who wins head-to-head, but maybe honestly the margin of victory. I have no idea what we're going to get, but I know Hempfield's going to be right there. Township's going to be right there. Crest maybe is coming in third, and then McCaskey, who I haven't seen. I don't know. But it's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah, well, that makes for fun games to cover if it is going to be nutty. So, how about section 2? We got the Warriors and the Cedars hanging on top.
And we missed a chance to see the first round on Friday night thanks to our good buddy COVID. So I think it's those two teams and everybody else. I said before, I thought Warwick is far and away the best team in the league, with or without Joey. And I think Lebanon's right on their heels too, which again, to this point, it's kind of bared that same fruit. Would have been nice to see it happen in a head-to-head, but I still think it's Lebanon and Warwick who's going to end up taking the 2 slots, provided that we do get a full league playoff field, which it sounds like we will. So that's kind of what's going on in 2. And then, yeah, I mean, you have the other 3 teams that first-year coaches, right? So they're trying to figure out their groove with one another. Some familiarity there with others, with more so than others, but I think it's Lebanon and Warwick, and the standings are showing that, I think, as such.
Okay, let's shift over to 3. We saw a great battle here with LS and Cacalico. I don't know if it was the best basketball in the world as far as smoothness and not a lot of mistakes, but it was one of those gritty type of wins, back and forth towards the end. One team had to lead, the other team had to lead, and there was like some foul shots that had to be made, and it was kind of a gritty thing. But you also threw out yesterday that I noticed. You said, don't sleep on Central because they're coming.
It's funny you say how games are ugly and not aesthetically pleasing, but that's exactly the way Cacalico wants it. That's exactly how they would draw up the game plan if they had to. So I like them a lot. Obviously, they were my pick. They got that win against LS is so huge. It's going to be so huge because they already got Central on Central's home floor. I understand that home court advantages kind of get tossed aside, but it still means something when you can go into another team's gym and take one from them. And they have 2 huge leg ups already. Well, I think they haven't played Spot yet. I don't think they played Spot. Spot's the only team they haven't played. They also decimated Solanco this weekend, which totally slid under the radar because I was really, really high on Solanco last week. And I think they put up a 30-point win or 20 or 30-point win or something.
It was a smackdown.
I didn't see that one coming. There's another big game on Monday night with Central. As you said, they've won 4 in a row, kind of sliding under the radar. Now they're playing LS for the second time. They go down to LS on Monday. It's going to be an enormous game because I think it's going to be LS, Cacalico, and Central trying to figure out who takes those 2 slots. And right now they're all jumbled up, which, again, if you followed us along in the offseason and the preseason, that's par for the course. It's really been no different. So Spot, I know, is a couple games behind everybody, and I haven't seen them yet. I'm thinking maybe I'll sneak out this week and check them out. So I'll knock through section 3, but no surprises in section 3 as far as the 3 teams we thought. They're all right there on each other's heels. The one thing I will add is we're kind of waiting on Augie Gerhardt to get back for Cacalico. And I know having a 6'8" piece is going to be huge if they can get him back. The one thing that I think is kind of the silver lining or blessing in disguise for them is they've never had him yet to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole season that they've played with one another, he has not been in the picture. He's been totally absent. So everybody's roles have pretty well been established, and it's not, oh my gosh, we had Augie the first 2 nights. Who's going to take his points? Who's going to take his shots?
Right.
They already know that. Now, if they can get him back, should he be able to come back later on and work him into the fold, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think right now it's not, panic time. Well, clearly it's not, based on what they're doing thus far this season, that they don't have him in the picture. And the fact that he has not been there at all, I think, is a little bit, again, a silver lining to them, because they don't have to figure out who's going to get his shots or his minutes because he hasn't been there. So,
or some depth or some points in there too, and a defensive presence. A 6'8" is 6'8". There's only one team that I know in the LL that's got that height, and we're going to talk about them coming up here. Let's go to section 4. Catholic, big win today over McDevitt up at McDevitt. They just, I don't know. They just keep cranking. They keep cranking and cranking and cranking. But I know you're going to talk about a team that's nipping at their heels.
quietly. Elko, I totally got this one wrong. I thought it'd be natural for them to take a step back. I understand Braden was coming back. I get that. But when you lose your core nucleus who you've had for years, it's going to make a difference, or at least you would think it should. It really hasn't. Their only loss this year, I think it's their only losses to Catholic overall. Like, they've won Antietam, which was a non-league. I think they beat somebody else in the non-league. So yeah, they only have one loss to my knowledge. And yeah, they're right there. They've already gotten Octorara. Octorara is coming to town maybe Monday. We'll see how that plays out as the afternoon hours go on Monday. But yeah, Calico and Elko, and all is right with the world, I guess, because that's the way it's been for the last handful of years. I know Octorara had, I think they're coming, but how much ground did they lose in losing to Catholic and Elko already in the first go-arounds? I think that's going to hurt a lot. So, not saying that they can't improve, because I think they can and be more of a factor. But yeah, I think those two setbacks right out of the gate, I think it's going to hinder them. But who knows?
Well,
Catholic's coming on Thursday night. We'll have as well. So
right. The nice thing is everybody plays each other twice. So, there is the opportunity for Manheim Center to make up some ground. There's the opportunity for Octorara. I mean, we're going to try to live stream that game Thursday night at Lancaster Catholic at Octorara. Usually that's a nutty place, but it's not going to be a nutty place this time when we go down there. That's the one team that I saw early, and they're huge. I mean, they are very, very, very big, and they're very, very, very young. Very young. They got the big center, Najee, and his brother is a sophomore. They got another big guy, is a sophomore. One of their guards, I think his name is Hamilton. He's very good. So outside of that, it's young. I mean, it was like sophomore, a lot of youth there. So I think Coach Gene, as the year goes on, they will improve. They'll be there. I think they'll be competitive. So we're going to see those guys on Thursday. That's a big game for Octorara. It's a big game for Catholic too, but as far as Octorara getting back in a race, it's an almost must win for those guys. Now, Section 5, again, luckily we've been allowed to get into Mennonite's gym, and I've seen Mennonite 4 times already. So it's kind of cool to see their growth. It's interesting to watch them from the first game that I saw against Columbia to the last game. They're playing a little bit better, a little smoother, a little less turnovers, full strength. They don't have kids missing. So it looks to me like it's just going to be a two-team race there, with Mennonite going up to Columbia later on, and that will probably decide the section champ. I don't know how the league's going to do. I know they're talking about playoffs, but we haven't gotten a firm. I'm getting 2 or 3 different things, so nothing's firmed up yet. But that being said, in the past, if we've had a tie for first place, they play that game off. And I would assume this year they would play that game off. So, I think both Columbia and Mennonite are marching down to that game where they play each other. And that'll probably decide if we're having a playoff game or not.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add. 2-team race in Section 5. Everybody else is kind of playing for third.
Yeah. So. I saw Columbia against Mennonite, and they've had a couple nice wins. And the night I saw them, they weren't at full strength. So I think last year, they went through unbeaten in the section. Am I not right?
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right.
So he has a string of league games that's gone back at least 1 year. So that's a good job. That's a good job by Coach Glover there. All right. So how about we announce, I don't know, we're sharing with Small Player the Player of the Week type of thing, and I think we get the nomination this week. So I'll let you share some news here tonight. What did you think? Who are we naming?
Okay, I guess I'll do the drum roll on this. Our Player of the Week, based on our live stream performances, is going to be none other than Carter Nunneville of Calico. I said before, it's funny. I told Coach Goodling I was I can't keep him under the radar anymore. He's too good. I can't keep wraps on him. Everybody's checking him out, from college scouts and press and everybody else. Everybody, the secret's out, the cat's out of the bag. So he had another big game against LS, obviously, not just in the scoring column, but getting his teammates involved and everything like that. He's the heady presence that Calico needs. Again, without a 6'8" piece into the fold, it's kind of just get him the ball and get out of the way in crunch time. He made his 2 free throws that proved to be the difference with 3 point something left. So
3.0, 3.0.
There you go. So yeah, Carter got the nod for that. So he'll have a nice little goodie coming his way here, hopefully sooner rather than later. So shout out to Carter, and hopefully Cocalico keeps it rolling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're looking at maybe some weather this week, but I think our live stream games will get in this week. I'm hoping, because usually they don't move a game that's scheduled to a different day. They schedule the other ones. If we have weather, who knows what the schools are going to do. I don't know. It's a strange time with condensed schedules and everything. So looking ahead this week, I'm putting up the schedule tonight. It'll be up there at 12:01 for those guys that stay up late, or 01 on the next day, and the 24th on military clock 0001. And we have games every night, and I think that's the way it's going to be for the rest of the year. Not all league games every night, but we have a smattering of league games, and it's kind of, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of interesting because there's something every night, but it's kind of like you just can't catch your breath because there's stuff going on every night, and we're trying to keep up with things. So, what are your thoughts?
I'll be honest, I haven't really taken a deep look at next week's schedule. Monday night, as I said, Central and LS, I think, takes the cake as far as most intrigue and biggest game in town type of thing. I know Tuesday night, Warwick is supposed to go to E-Town. Warwick's kind of had another weird season. I know they haven't lost, but they've had some interesting results. They beat Ephrata by 3. The spot game, they missed, 18 free throws or something, but still won going away. So I'm not panicking on them by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that's going to be a good little road test for them going to E-Town. Wednesday night, I know, is a very small slate. I don't know who it is. I don't think there's many home games, kind of like today. You said Octorara and Catholic, or Catholic and Octorara for away team to home team on Thursday night. And speaking of E-Town, they have their rematch date with CV on Friday night, which we're hoping to have. So yeah, you're right. Everything's happening in a blur. Like I said, I haven't really taken a look at next week's slate. I've peeked here and there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think this is going to be the first week. Well, I know it is, that we're going to have weather come into the fold. So we've already had the virus coming into the fold with perfect weather. So this monkey wrench is going to throw some things into flux. So yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. It is what it is. Embrace it.
Correct.
So,
we can't, somebody said something the other day, and I said, well, at least these teams are playing. If they juggle their schedule, at least they're playing. You and I weren't even sure if they were going to play this year. So, we're on it. Speaking about being on it, we're trying to put the scores up fairly quick. I know LMP is doing a really good job of getting the box scores up. So plug for them for their subscription. I don't think it's that much, but we're putting the scores up. The standings are up there. And one thing that is going on with the site a little bit is my guys from Northeast are writing District 2. So they put stuff on the site, and it goes up, and then we have to kind of hop over that. But all their stuff's going to say District 2, and all our stuff's going to say LL on it. And that's kind of the way to keep them separate. I think they get a lot of hits. I was checking the stats today, and they're doing well. They're doing well. So we're going to keep working on the live stream. Had some issues last week. We'll continue to plug away at it, and it's a matter of the Wi-Fi. If we can get on Wi-Fi, we're pretty good. And our announcers, I know I was trying to watch Northern Lebanon and Anvil today, and I think they had some Wi-Fi issues. I got the first quarter, but I didn't get anything else. So Busy week, my man. Busy week
Yep.
coming up. And, we got, we got what, about 4 more weeks or 5 more weeks. And then, we'll see what the I'm hoping we have some LL news next week as far as this is what it's going to be. Whether we're going to take section champs only or play every game at the home seed like they're going to do for the districts. And that'll be interesting in itself. What's your thoughts on that since I brought it up? District 3 playing all games. I think they're supposed to have the same type of tournament they had, but the games must be on the higher seeded teams home 4. So a team like Wilson probably will get home games all the way through. And I think that includes a district championship.
It does. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It'd be nice to go to the Giant Center. That's the carrot at the end of the stick that everybody shoots for every year. So I was telling you, the only time if we're able to go is if we get our state credentials this year, because I think States is going to be at Giant Center. I think. I don't know if they've announced that yet, but that's the only time we'll be able to go this year because District 3's, go on campus only. So I don't know. It's probably deserved. I guess. Why not reward the home team with or the best team in the districts based on seeds with home games throughout if they play out that way? The thing I'm in love with, which maybe not a lot of people are, is it's win or go home. Yeah. There's too many playback games. Mm-hmm. In 5A, when you have a loser's bracket, like straight out of the box, like you can lose your first game and still play on. Like I don't like that. It's too fat. I don't like it. I understand what the PLAA is doing as far as district champs only. I get it, but I still think you need a few teams from each one of your classes coming out of District 3, but not 9 or whatever it is. Like that's way too much. And ironically, I say that because Mennonite, coach we just had on, what was it, 4 years ago, got the very last slot.
Yep.
And was a half shot away from playing the state final. So,
yep.
Yep. But no, as far as the home court thing, it's not a huge deal, I don't think. Because when didn't they changed it up when we went to 6? Because when we were at 4 classes, what was it? The second round for your 3s and 4s, it was that 3-day, or that not the 3-day, the 3-game conglomerate at Hershey.
Yes.
And I think since they went to 6, what was it? 6A gets the semis and the finals. 5A gets the semis and the finals. But then wasn't it from like 4 down as finals only?
Yes.
So it was already kind of sliced down anyway. The only thing that is unfortunate is the fact that if you've had the finals at the Giant Center, that's what everyone has always been accustomed to. It's going to lose a little bit of its luster this year. But a district championship is a district championship. And the fact that it is win or go home for the state tournament, who cares where it's at?
Right.
It's put up or shut up.
Right.
In years past, it obviously mattered if you won, but like Reading, the year they lost to Harrisburg, didn't win districts, but they won states.
Correct.
Now, if they lost to Harrisburg this year, they ain't playing in states. So,
Correct.
It's not a huge deal. It's unfortunate, but probably to be expected given everything going on. So it is what it is. Everybody will embrace it and get used to it. So
yeah. Well, like I said, everybody's happy that we're playing. A couple things that I don't know quite what District 3 is going to do as far as covering games or live streaming. Obviously, if they're giving tickets to fans and there's 300 people in the stands on those bigger courts or 100 on the smaller courts. Think about this, Andy. Think if Lancaster Country Day gets seated, just say, and they go all the way through, well, you know what? There's 40, 50 people going to see that game live. So, it'll be interesting to see if they do some live streaming or if they do some pay-per-view or not. They just let Penn Live in and say, okay, you guys are covering the game. So I think, I think in the LL, we'll probably be able to cover maybe just one of us, but,
right.
We'll see how it goes. That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to win and to get into districts and to get into states. And that's the competitor in all these coaches. So anyway, hey, thanks. There's just crazy week for me, and I'm sure it's a crazy week for you. And we appreciate your write-ups. Your write-ups are getting, I think I told you, they're averaging like 1,200 hits. So people are looking at them. I don't know if they're reading everything. And I know the one live stream we did, we had a lot of click-throughs on the game, but not so many click-throughs on the YouTube. So I don't know how it works. I'm assuming if somebody comes into the website, they're probably looking at a little bit of the game at some point. So, we'll keep plugging away, and I think that's pretty cool. We got some good announcers, and another week. I'll put the schedule up tonight, and I'm sure that you and I will cross paths this week again, and we'll get a new guest on next week, and when we get Carter's award to him, we'll get a picture of him and put that up on the website.
Yep. Bit of breaking news I can share as well. Final just rolled in at the top of my phone. Northern Lebanon 68, Anvil 28. So nice 40-point win by Coach George and the boys on senior night in Fredericksburg. So shout out to them.
I'll put that up on the website as soon as we get out there. So
Here we go.
Yep. All right. Thank you, man. We will see you next week.
You.
We'll get a new guest on next week, and we'll keep this rolling. Thank you, buddy.
Adios.
All right. Good night.